Hello everyone, I am back. This is the Sage of Calador, and today we're going to be doing, today I'm going to be giving you another video about an Amazon's DLC, and this is for, Warhammer Total, it's a DLC, idea for Warhammer Total War. So to beginning, what are the Amazons? Well, they are quite simply a race of women warriors living somewhere here in Lustria. They live alongside the lizard men, and they have a weird relationship with the lizard men. They leave the lizard men alone, and just because I feel like this might be brought up in the comments, no, they did not breed with each other. The lizard men come from spawning pools. So, do not think of anything going on here. But the lizard men leave them alone because the Amazons worship the Amazons. And this is a close-up place to where they live. Land, City of the Moon, and the Temple of Kara. And where do they go in Total War Warhammer in the series? Well, to be honest, they have some potential as a unit roster, but let's see before I make some judgments. They have a faction leader, and in Nakonda, see right here her Regiment of Renown. She could be a faction leader. She has a special weapon called the Blade of the Ancients. Powerful, said to blaze with the captured fires of a falling star. So fire damage, I guess. What an Amazon faction would look like, probably something like a skirmisher-based faction. Not like the Wood Elves. Instead of bows, they would likely use javelins, and they might have access to some Lizardmen units. Another potential Lord choice is a High Priestess Serpent, and her, and more magical weapons like Claw of the Old Ones. It grants the priestess power to bypass armor, so armor piercing. Amulet of the Wound protects her from harm, so a ward save. She has this thing called Lore of the Serpents. The Singing Wind, whipping the jungle into the frenzy and lashing her foes without mercy, so maybe... Oh boy, I can't remember. Well, what spell it is, it's something in the Lore of Life, but, it is a spell that basically causes damage. It will cause damage. The Serpent Strength, a strength bonus, maybe a speed bonus. Wendala's Milestorm, protecting her from enemy shooting, so maybe you could cast it against archers to make it so it's hard to miss, or you can cast it to make it easier for your troops to dodge a missile attack. Shield of Thorns, I believe we've seen that before. The Living Jungle calls forth beasts of the jungle, binding them to aid her against her foes. We've seen numerous spells like the Lizardmen Army ability that attracts feral cold ones, so maybe something along the lines of you summon cold ones for it's the upgrades may go like this. You summon cold ones for a start. Then you could summon, like, say, a Bastiladon or a Stegodon, and in the final one you can summon a Carnotaur as well. You know, it would be quite cool if that spell could cast all four, but at the same time, quite powerful. Maybe they'll just stick to the cold ones, and if you upgrade it, it will turn into armored cold ones. The Siren's Dream, mesmerizing all who hear her, maybe like a leadership debuff to your enemy units. So yeah, there's a lot to look over for her, but for the Amazons, but there is a problem. Sotek, or Tenehuan, the prophet of Sotek. The lore of serpents might be better fitting for him than the Amazons because, well, Tenehuan is a prophet of the serpent god. It's fitting that the lore of serpents should pass to him. However, he, in the tabletop game, he has access to the lore of beasts. So that might not happen. I talked to one of my friends about this, and he mentioned that the Amazons could be a faction, a special faction tied to the lizard men through Tenehuan and the prophet of Sotek. I don't know. Personally, I don't think that will be beneficial, partly because of the whole mechanic of Confederation. I mean, if you add Amazons, are they going to be like a special unit that all Lizardmen factions can hire? I mean, part of the Lesser of the Lizardmen is, well, sticking to lore, they're solely a faction for Lizardmen. So I personally do not think this would be a good idea to merge the Amazons with Sotek, even though they have similarities. There's another factor with the Amazons. It is the Vortex campaign. What are they going to do with that? Quite simply, it's not helpful for them to pick it is not, they do not have a stake in the Vortex unless it is to help the children of the old ones, the Lizardmen, fight to secure the Vortex. There is another thing. It's likely that Tenehuan is going to be somewhere around here. And that is going to, and so where do you put in the Amazons? You can't put the Amazons anywhere. I mean, I talked about Albion. Albion has only only one place to put himself there, right there. Albion and the Amazons, there's few places to go, and there's a limited amount of lords that Creative Assembly can work on. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. I said this in my Vampire Coast video. I encourage you all to check it for yourself. But I think it is for the best that the Amazons and Albion are fit together into one particular total faction, and the Amazons and Albion are like sub-factions of this thing like worshippers of the old ones. Now, I talked to a friend of mine, and he disagrees with this because he thinks that Albions and Amazons are different. But are they really? He describes Albion as a faction that as a faction that is different than the Amazons, strictly because on how different they work together. But here is the thing. Reading the lore of Albion, the two sides have similarities. They are a guerrilla-based faction that has some Norscan and Celtic-based influences into it. What could happen would be you have only access to certain units with certain buildings in Albion, and you need to, say, confederate or conquer areas in Lustria to gain access to Amazons, and the other way around. To end, I stand by what I said before. Albion and the Amazons, they are in a tough spot. There's only a handful of ways Creative Assembly can go with this. They could merge it with the Lizardmen, but I personally find it a bad idea because I do not think it fits. The Lizardmen do not technically join forces with any other factions. This is unlike Avalon, when the elves, when the wood elves and the high elves at least have a connection to Isha, the goddess of nature, and there have been instances in the lore in which treemen and forest spirits live in Avalon. This does not happen with the Lizardmen or the Amazons. They may work together, but introducing Albion, people of Albion, and Amazons into their armies, not at all. The best way to accomplish this is to have like a faction, a large faction, like Children of the Olden Ones, or make two separate smaller factions and accept the fact that Amazons and Albions are there as just a hard faction to play, and would likely get smashed at the beginning. Unless you try to do something to actually win against it, or make the right alliances. Anyway, that's the Sage of Calidor. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you later. Bye.